do. We have a quorum? Okay, everyone, I'm going to call the meeting of the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee to order at 6:02 p.m. And this is our first meeting since the bond election, so, there's quite a bit to hear about that tonight, and that's a lot of what our meeting agenda will be. But to start off, I'd like us, since we have a couple of new members, I'd like to go around and kind of let everybody introduce themselves, or we have one new member here anyway. And I'll start off. My name is Joe Stout. I'm the chair of the committee currently, and the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee, what the membership is kind of laid out what it needs to be by the state of Texas in code. And there are certain positions that are required to be on the committee, one of which is an animal welfare organization representative, and that is what the role that I play. I'm associated really with a couple of animal welfare organizations, but one of the main ones is called Mid-Cities Community Cats, which is a trap, neuter, vaccinate, return organization, which, one of the reasons that I like Saginaw and was willing to be involved was because I know that Jose has for a long time been a supporter of TNVR, and that was something we're really happy about. So why don't we just kind of start and go around this way. So Laura, and if everybody would just kind of briefly introduce themselves and then say why they are on this committee.
My name is Laurie Mandel. I just finished my first term.
Oh, and I forgot to tell you, you need to turn on your mic. Yeah.
Okay, is that better?
Thank you.
Am I on?
Yeah,
Okay.
because this meeting is, by the way, being recorded.
Okay. My name is Laurie Yandel. I just finished my first term of 2 years and have been reappointed. I requested that because I firmly believe in the TNVR program. I believe in our new shelter. I want to support in any way that I can and be involved with the animal welfare for Saginaw.
My name's Dr. Karen Metzler. I'm a veterinarian and have served on this board for many years in the role of advising veterinarian. And that's me.
I'm Jose Whelan. I'm the Animal Services Manager. My role on the board is city official. I oversee the daily operations at animal control, staffing, and making sure that everything by state law is followed to the T.
I'm Judy Deller. I'm the vice chair currently, and I'm just a normal citizen that volunteered to work on the Animal Shelter Board.
I'm Julie Jacobson, place 9, and I take notes. That's one of my roles. I've finished my first term, and I've been reappointed for a second term, and I've been a resident for 30-some-odd years, and I just love our community, and I feel passionately about animals and their welfare and well-being, and so I'm very happy to be involved.
My name's Spencer Mira. I'm place 2. I'm like Judy. I'm just a normal citizen that loves animals and likes to be involved with the city.
I'm Angela DeLeon, and this is my first time on a board, and I'm the alternate number 2. I did want to do this because I am very passionate about animals. When I moved here about 30 years ago, I hardly saw any cats in the neighborhood, and now I see cats everywhere in the neighborhood. So I started trapping and neutering and returning them. So so that's kind of, thankfully, has reduced a lot.
And my name is Lee Howell. I'm the Assistant City Manager for the City of Saginaw and the staff representative on the board.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think that also takes care of our roll call, which is item number 2. Item number 3 is approval of the minutes of our last meeting. So if everybody could please take a quick look at that, and then I would invite somebody to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
If you look in your folders, behind the orange tab is where the minutes are going to be at from the last meeting, February 19th of 2026.
Do we need a second for my motion?
I'm
I'll
sorry,
second
you made
it.
a motion. Okay, thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved as written. Next item, number 4, is I asked Jose to provide us some shelter statistics and a brief operations update of the year, because one of the functions of this committee, again, as outlined by the state, is to keep an eye on what's going on at the shelter and the status there. So, Jose?
Well, as far as TNVR goes, kitten season started a little late this year. A lot due in part to all the trap, neuter, and vaccinate we were doing last year. So that turned out pretty good. As far as the numbers at the shelter, we are currently packed. We have been full of cats for the last couple of months. We did reach out with 18 cats to SPCA to see if we can get them transferred over to them. They only accepted 1. So everybody else is actually up at the shelter right now. We do have Clear the Shelter coming up August 1st, which we will be doing adoption specials throughout the month of August. We've done adoption specials all throughout the year. So if you look in behind your blue tab, you'll see our adoption specials. First one we did was a New Year's adoption special. And our adoption fee is $40 plus any medical that we do to the animal. So adoption can be anywhere between $100 to $135, depending on what type of animal or the weight of the animal. So when we say that we're lowering and doing adoption specials, we lower it down to $75. That way we can cover a majority of the medical that we do, spay and neuter, rabies vaccinations and stuff like that. So 2026, we've done a New Year's, we've done a Valentine's, St. Patrick's Day, Easter special. We did a Cinco de Mayo special where we did $5 adoptions on May 5th. Mother's Day, we did an adoption special. Memorial Day, and on the Memorial Day one, we usually do free adoptions for active duty, retired, and first responders. They just have to provide valid identification showing that they were either active duty or a veteran or first responder. We do Father's Day, Independence Day. We just did Clear the Shelter. We're coming up on August 1st. So that went from a 1 weekend adoption event to a full month nationwide. Once 1 weekend out of the month, usually at the end, they do free adoptions. It's called a crescendo event. So that we could help recoup some of our medical, we're doing adoption specials throughout the event. So the first week would be $75, the second week is $50, the third week is $25. The crescendo event is August 24th, or the weekend of August 24th, so we are doing free adoptions from August 24th through the remainder of August. All adoption fees will be waived at that time, so any animals that we currently have at the facility that are still available between August 24th and the 31st will be considered free,
Okay,
in hopes that we clear it out.
right.
After that, we'll have a Labor Day adoption special, Halloween. With Halloween, we try to have some fun with that one, so if you come up to the shelter and do an adoption while you're wearing a costume, your adoption is free that day. Thanksgiving, the 23rd to the 25th, and then we do a Christmas adoption special. December 15th through the 19th is $75. The 22nd to the 26th is $50, and then the rest of the year is $25. We also have 4 TCAP clinics that come to the shelter for low-cost rabies vaccinations, where citizens or people from around the area can come out and do $5 rabies vaccinations, and they come 4 times a year. The last one we did was in May, so the next one coming up will be September 19th, and then we have one on December 5th.
Thank you. Jose, I do have one question.
Okay.
You said that SPCA only accepted one cat. Is that because of the screwworm situation, do you think?
I don't think it was a screw worm. I think it was the fact that we had 18 kittens we were trying to place with them. So I don't think they had room for 18 kittens on a flight.
Yeah, SPCA Dallas has a transport program where they transport animals to mostly on the East Coast where they don't really have as many animals. But some of those cities have not been accepting any animals lately because of the scare about the screwworm thing. So I know it's impacted the organization that I'm involved with. So that's the reason I asked. And I want to apologize to everybody. I just realized that I was following an agenda from February 19th. I didn't have the current agenda, so we got a little out of order here. And but we're still on track. So thank you, Jose. That was a good report.
I want to add something else. 2 other things that we have been doing. We were donated a bunch of microchips that were not Home Again microchips. So we were doing actual microchip events, free chipping for citizens. If they lived in Fort Worth, and I think the fee was like $10. So we just issued the last ones in June, so we no longer have the microchips that were donated for this.
Oh.
We are completely out, so we have no more microchip events set up for the remainder of the year. The 501c3 was donated a bunch of microchips from a company, I guess, going out of business, so they made a donation to the shelter for that. And then we had an off-site adoption event on 425 at Russell Feed, so.
Okay. Is that a problem that you don't have the microchips?
No, the city purchases microchips every year. We usually buy 4 boxes, which there's like 25 chips in a box, so we get 4 boxes every year. Last year, I was able to make a purchase for 8 boxes, so we still currently have the Home Again chips.
Okay.
When we chip, though, we charge $20 for our chips because
Okay.
we cover the registration for the
You
chip.
just can't do the free event.
Right, we
Yeah,
couldn't do the
okay.
free events with our
But
microchips.
you are still chipping.
Right.
Good, good. Okay, thank you. Any questions for Jose? Okay, the next item, we're going to go back to item 2B, is an update on the new shelter design and process by Lee.
Thank you, Joe. So everybody knows that the bond election passed fairly resoundingly. People spoke and have authorized the city to spend up to $15 million to design and build a new animal shelter. So that process is underway. We have recently contracted with or commissioned a environmental site assessment on the property where we're planning on building. And we have engineers that have conducted that or begun conducting that site assessment. That is just a due diligence assessment for the city to make sure that there's no hidden issues on the property that we're unaware of before we start turning dirt and building. That assessment will continue for at least a few more weeks, past perhaps about a month more. And then we will try to close on the property with the current owner. The property doesn't have a real address, so right now we just have to describe where it is, but it'll be assigned an address soon. But if you cross from Saginaw Boulevard, cross the railroad tracks from Minton to the east, and then you'll get to Jarvis Street, and then keep going a little bit farther, and you get to Defile Street. The property sits right there at the edge of Minton between those 2 streets.
Is it past Brenda?
No, you don't go past Brenda. Brenda is north of Minton, so if you just like come off of the boulevard on Minton, you're south of Brenda Lane.
So you turn left onto Jarvis.
Well, no, you don't turn left. You just keep going into the industrial area there on Minton, so almost due east, and you'll cross Jarvis, and you'll see some railroad tracks that make a big curve right there. That's kind of the bottom of that property. And then the railroad tracks will cross Minton going to the south. And when you do that, you're at Defile Street essentially, and the property lies between Jarvis and Defile, north of Minton. It's approximately 5 acres that we're looking at, and yes, it's still in the industrial area near Brenda Lane, but it's much more visible and open to everyday traffic, and would be much more accessible. That's one of the biggest complaints about the current location that we've had from citizens, that it's difficult to find. And so, you know, when we looked at property all over the city, there's not too many parcels left that would be affordable for the city to buy, that would be large enough and far enough away from residential areas to avoid any complaints from residents. So this was, I think, a good place to do it, and it was made available to us. So we're proceeding with the intent to buy that property, and once the environmental assessment, site assessment is done, then we should close on it shortly.
Who owns that property now?
It's called Jarvis Properties LLC. It's actually in the name of an LLC, but it's the same people that own the trucking company across the road over there. So once that's done and we're closed on the property, or shortly after, we will issue what's called a request for qualifications for an architectural design firm. So that gets published and stays out for about 30 days. We collect portfolios and people that are from architectural firms that are interested in taking this job on, and then we'll have an assessment of those architectural firms and pick the best qualified firm that has submitted the proper qualifications. So that process is about a 2-month process probably. Sometime shortly after we pick that architectural firm and seal a deal with them, we will also then put out a request for qualifications for a construction manager at risk. So it's referred to as a CMAR. So the CMAR process is the same process we use to build the Library Senior Center, and it's commonly used by cities everywhere. So what this does is it allows us to bring the builder on board, and they actually start working with the architect, which worked out well for us again at the Library Senior Center, because they were able to work together in the design process, helping make sure that not only the architectural part of the process is done well, but also having a builder sitting there telling you, you know, what is possible and what isn't, and what's the most economical, construction materials and other designs in terms of reducing manpower on the construction and time. So they work well together if we bring the construction company in early in the design phase, and we should be, we'll maximize the amount of money that we have then and be able to put out a good product. So that process will occur. The design itself could take, it's hard to say right now, could take anywhere from 8 or 9 months to up to a year. I would not expect it to take any longer than a year. But once that's done, of course, then the architect and the construction manager continue to work together at the actual, on the actual construction and start building. The build itself, again, could take probably the same amount, about the same amount of time as the architectural design, somewhere between 8 months to 12 months, and then we should be open. So theoretically, it's entirely possible that 2 years from, say, the end of August this year, we would be moving into a brand-new facility sometime within that time frame. So that's about the extent of it right now. We do want members of the board, obviously, to be in on the design phase. So if you're interested in doing that, let me know. We will have multiple opportunities for board members to meet with the architectural firm in the early stages of the design and let them know what you feel is important and what is not only important, but what you feel like should be, must-haves and whatever, similar to the exercise that we went through as a board before. And so that'll be important to involve as many of you as want to be involved in that. And certainly during the rest of the process, you are welcome to be as involved in as you'd like to be, and visit the site, and bring people over to take a look at it, and help me monitor, the construction. So we're looking forward to all that. It should be a fun process, and certainly the end result will be a huge improvement on where we're housed now. So any questions about that?
Well, Lee, besides members of this organization that decide, that would like to participate, who else will probably make up that committee?
Well, I'm sure we'll have council members on it. We'll have some staff members on it, like Jose, and maybe a couple others. We'd like members of the board and any other experts or people that we'd like to have input on it. When we went through, some of y'all participated in the architectural process where we brought in the consultant before. So it'll be similar to that. There'll be opportunities to meet perhaps as a group or individually or as a committee with the architectural firm and the construction firm as we move through the process.
So I know everything's not really clear yet, but then it sounds like then that the new shelter could open by, let's say, August 2028. Is that correct?
I'd say that's entirely possible. Could be before then or around that time.
And I know this is way early to mention it, but will there be some kind of a groundbreaking ceremony or something? Maybe get the mayor there?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'll throw a party.
When will the bidding process start? I mean, obviously we're in the infancy stages, but when you're talking about getting the builder on board and the architect and everything, when will that start to come to fruition?
The bidding process? Yeah, so when we put out, so there's two different kind of thoughts on that. So when we put out a request for qualifications, we're picking the architectural firm that we feel is the best qualified to do it. We will negotiate a fee with them during that process. The city will negotiate that fee directly with the architectural firm. The construction manager at risk doesn't have an actual bidding process. What they do is like I say, we bring them on board early they work with the architectural firm in the design process, and then they present to us a guaranteed maximum price that they will be able to build the structure for. And unless there are change orders within the build process that we didn't anticipate, then the construction manager at risk process requires them to build that for the price they guaranteed us and not go over it. If they go over it, then that risk is assumed by them and they fill in the gap. So that's the good thing about it. We don't just take bids. We have somebody who has a stake in it from an early standpoint. In other words, they get in there and they help tell us how we can build it within the prescribed budget, and then we hold them to that during the construction phase.
And how does it work with the bond if there was a change order that had to be done that went over what the bond was approved for?
Yeah, if it went over the bond approval, then we would have to find another funding source from that. So
Would it be like grants or?
grants are always, a possibility. We've looked at some grants right now, and there's not really anything that we can find available for a project like this. There's some grants available for things like medical facilities for animals, and a few others, but we can't find anything that just helps us pay for a new animal shelter, municipal animal shelter. So, but we'll continue to keep our eyes open for that.
Is it possible to make it multi-purpose, to have a medical facility on site where that would qualify?
It's possible, and we'll probably we'll examine that during the design phase.
I remember from the, I guess, the town hall about the bond item, that seemed like the $15 million actually includes a little bit of buffer, correct?
That's correct, yes. It's not a lot, but it's enough to where if we had price increases that we didn't count on, we should be able to cover a little bit of that.
Yeah, I don't know that any of us think that that's going to happen, but, in this day and age, you always have to wonder if that could be a possibility, so.
It's certainly a possibility in this environment and the current construction, amount of construction that's going on. We experienced that across the street quite a bit during the design phase and had to kind of go back to the drawing board a couple of times. But so we may have to do that again, but we'll try to address that before we seal a guaranteed maximum price.
Does anyone else have any questions for Lee? Go ahead, Jose.
I think I've asked this a couple times, and not to put you on the spot, but who's going to oversee it?
That's undetermined right at this moment, but there's a strong candidate for that.
Is it a project manager?
Yes.
Would that be their full-time job?
No, probably not.
You're talking about someone within the city staff?
Yeah, yes. Now, I'll let you know as soon as that's decided.
So would you say that everything is on track to where it ought to be at this early stage?
Yeah, I think we're right on track. I don't foresee any issues that should slow it down. But something could always come up. But yeah, we should be in a new building in a couple of years.
Do we have a contingency if your environmental assessment brings up something that is costly to remediate?
That is a great question. And we discussed that, as a matter of fact, just this morning, we met with our Kimley Horn, our engineers, city engineer, on that. And the answer to that is we would have to find a funding source to do that. There is not really any built-in contingency for that in the bond amount. There is, let me backtrack. There is a little bit, there is contingency in the bond estimate, but not specifically for that.
So that would be done before we close on the property, right?
Correct.
So this is way ahead of where we are on the process, but will we have access to go in, say, from Minton and also up from McElroy?
So that's a great question. So right now, the theoretical plan, and we'll see how this works, but would be to enter the property, at first, would be to enter the property off of Defile Street, create an entrance on Defile Street. Now, the landowner has requested that we consider putting in a roadway immediately north of the property that we would purchase. And so we're working out the details of that, where the cost would be minimized to the city to do that. But if that were the case, you'd be able to enter that roadway immediately north of the shelter site from either Jarvis or Defile. So the street would go through between those two streets, the new street.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking trains and fun stuff. That's my concern.
Yeah, that's a good question, and so we've had these discussions before about a street, the need for a street in there because
Whether you have a shelter or not, correct?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
And some of the businesses up Defile have talked to us about that. So right now, there is the possibility that trains, in fact, I mean, it does happen, that trains can stop on that sidetrack that goes into there and block Defile. So there needs to be a second avenue to get out of that area from like the Ventura sides and the Holscher Services and the Food Lion, which is up Defile. So they need another way to get out of there if there's a train that stops across there. So
Build another bridge.
well, yeah, it doesn't really require a bridge, but the street that street that would go through there would be a big plus for a number of reasons. But that would give us access from either one of those streets to the new site.
Okay, any other questions for Lee? Okay, if not, we'll move on. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate the update, and I look forward to, seeing the project move forward. Okay, next item on the agenda is a public comment period. I don't believe we have any members of the public here that would want to comment.
No, they have nothing to say.
Yes, they do. Okay. Lee, I'm going to ask you a question here, parliamentary procedure. Our last meeting, I was kind of corrected and told that I need to call a vote to adjourn. My understanding is that you don't really need a vote to adjourn a meeting. So unless anybody has anything additional here, I'm going to adjourn our meeting at 6:37.
Also, if you'll take the nameplates that are sitting in front of you, if you'll take them, fold them up, and stick them inside the plastic sheath on the outside of your binder, that way I'll know whose binder belongs to who. And if you'll stack the binder or just leave them where they're sitting, and I'll swing by and pick them up.
Do you go through and take your stuff out and throw it out?
Well, I take it and shred it.
Oh, I'll give it to you, but I'll take it out to you.
Just leave,